when I got into the community and started competing, I did pretty well. My first bouldering competition in HB40, I won. My second bouldering competition, I came in second. I went to adaptive nationals that year and got second and ended up being the top pick for the US in our RP2 category. When I got into climbing, I was on a very dark path.
This is Climbing Gold.
Which I think a lot of climbers, when they find climbing, they're on a pretty dark path in some way or some form. And it's like that outlet to where they can express themselves through movement and be exposed to different lifestyle changes. And if I didn't find that community, I don't think I would have changed a good majority of my lifestyle around it. It kind of gave me new goals.
Yeah, talk about that path that you were on. Like,
Yeah.
what were you going through when you found climbing?
I was very lost. Um, didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was trying to work towards. All I knew was I wanted to be good at climbing and I wanted to see how far I could take it. But I was pretty heavy into a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. Like I was drinking a lot and smoking a lot right after college. Just in that lost phase, I think we all kind of get into a lost phase and we cling on to a couple things that make us feel good for a few moments. Um, and mine was weed, alcohol, and climbing.
Climbing being the healthiest of the three.
Yeah, well, it's relatively healthy.
Yeah, well, at least you've channeled it into something
Yeah,
seemingly much more uh much better for you.
yeah. And when I got into the community and started competing, um, I did pretty well. My first bouldering competition in HB40, I won. Uh, my second bouldering competition, I came in second. And then at I went to adaptive nationals that year and got second and ended up being the top pick for the US in our RP2 category. And so I was really stoked on that.
Do you
Um,
feel like that really influenced your trajectory in climbing? Because I feel like, and we've interviewed a lot of people on Climbing Gold, and I feel like a big part of people's paths a lot of the time is that they discover that they're good at something, and they're sort of like, well, if I'm good at this, I should do this more. It's like, I mean, and I feel like I experienced that to some extent with
yeah.
soloing, where I'm sort of like, oh, I like doing this, and it turns out I'm kind of okay at it, and I'll just like go down this path and see where it takes me. And
Well,
did you did was that part of it? You were like, oh, I'm good at this thing, I'm gonna
I'm
do it.
it was a phrase my uncle and my dad would say. Uh, they were like, "If you're good at something, don't do it for free." Um, which at that time, like, I was still climbing.
Yeah, I was like, "Don't
Uh,
you still do it for free, basically?" Like,
yeah, I was still
it's
doing it for free, but, it
so
was
your
like
dad is, deeply disappointed in your climbing journey.
well, when I started getting sponsored, he's kinda
He's
shut
come
his
around.
mouth. He's come around. When I started showing him some of the paychecks that I was getting, he's like, "Alright, it's a job now." And
That's
he
funny.
he would make fun of me quite a lot. He was like, "You gotta go get a real job," and I was like, "But I really like this, and I think I'm on to something." And
And you're
then I
certainly working very hard at it.
working extremely hard at it. I work my dad's always been a hard worker and being a 1099 contractor for most of his life, he was like, "You gotta work hard at something and actually figure out how to make money at something," and then I did figure that process out. I worked
But
just
that's
as
something that every climber struggles with, so it's not
yeah,
like that's unique to you or unique to
yeah,
paraclimbing or,
no,
it's like literally every good climber
every
is sort of like,
climber.
"Oh, no, how do I make a living?" It's
Yeah,
like
and once I figured that out, he kinda stopped harping on me, but yeah, I kind of found that I was good at it. I really liked it, and then I got kinda smacked in the face in 2018. Like, my fourth competition ever was a world championship.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the trajectory for a lot of paraclimbers. They go do a few comps because we only have a limited amount of like para-specific comps. Like
Mhm.
we don't have a full like huge paraclimbing circuit in the US yet. And so a lot of people end up
Yeah,
doing
and
doing
and you're
well.
there aren't all the tons of regional, like, local
Yeah,
small scale comps and all that.
yeah,
Because, I mean, for most other competitors, they start doing all kinds of, like, the Halloween bash or, like, random comps where they're just, like, doing local comps. Like, hardly anybody goes to nationals that haven't done a bunch of other competitions ahead of
yeah,
time. But I feel like on the para
yeah,
circuit, it's just that there are way fewer options for that kinda thing.
yeah. There's way fewer options, and we're working on ways to kind of increase that. This is my busiest comp schedule I've ever had, but back then it was like you did a nationals, you did well, and you got a spot on the team if you got in like the top 3 or top 6, and you got the opportunity to go do a world championship. Um, and so I went to my first world championship, and I went from like making podium very often to getting 10th.
But, I mean,
And
is that so bad at an international competition for your first time?
it was
Was
out
it
of
was
12.
that hard for you? Oh, out of 12, okay, well, that
Out of
is
12.
that stings a little more 'cause,
That stings a little
I
bit.
I went to Youth Worlds when I was young, and, it was my first time doing an international competition. I got, like, 45th or something, and I was just like, "Oh my god, the level of competition in the rest of the world is just so much higher than it
Yeah.
was in Northern California where I was from." And so I was just kinda like, "Well, I just got totally spanked," and you're just kinda like, "Okay, that's" you
Yeah.
know. But so,
And
what did you take from that
uh,
from your 10th place finish? I mean, was that motivating or discouraging or, how'd you feel?
I was very discouraged. But like the way I was raised, it's like you're gonna get smacked down a couple of times and then you're gonna figure out how to rise again. So I was on top of a castle in Salzburg. Um,
As one does.
yeah, drinking a beer and eating pretzels um, at like 10 in the morning. And I was like, you know what? I think this is the last one for a little while. And I went completely sober for 5 years
Um,
just to figure out how to become better at climbing and just taking like something that wasn't bringing any benefit to my life out of the equation to see if I can put more energy and more focus into this climbing thing. I took drugs and alcohol completely out of my diet for a solid 5 years just to see if
and
I
and
could
then, uh and then reintroduce them sparingly or,
sparingly,
lightly?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
lightly.
now you have a healthy relationship with
Now I now I
recreational
have a
things like
healthy
that?
relationship with all that. Back then I did not. And addiction runs in my family pretty heavily. So I was like, okay, if I can remove it and make something good, maybe I can revisit this later. Um,
Mhm.
and so I started doing that. I started building paraclimbing communities in the Mid Atlantic, and then also offering going to local gyms and saying, hey, we should put a paraclimbing category into some of your citizens comps. And I started doing that around the Mid Atlantic. And it was really well received. So I started helping put it on comps for paraclimbers and having people come down from like New York or come up from the South to do these competitions. Um, Partially a little selfish uh, in my extent because I just wanted more opportunities to figure out what I needed to do in higher level competitions. But
Mhm.
I also saw the community aspect of like, we don't get that many comps. And if we're doing like one comp before nationals, if we're lucky to kind of find that competition mindset, that's not really preparing us for good results for the world
Mhm.
championships.